today is a vigil because as far as we're concerned, this amounts to a death knell for the World Service. We knew that there were cuts coming down the line, but I think the scale of the cuts that are proposed have staggered everybody. Whole gamut of jobs involved in everything that goes towards producing such kind of quality, excellent journalism around the world. So it's journalists, it's production staff, it's entire bureau in many cases.
I work in the BBC Caribbean service. The Caribbean service is one of 5 language services being cut, so I'm effectively out of a job. I think many people take it for granted, and because there is widespread democracy in Britain, I don't think a lot of people understand how significant a role the World Service plays in other parts of the world, where to a large extent people hugely depend on the World Service because the local media is very biased or very government controlled, and people are not getting a balanced diet when it comes to news and analysis.
My name is Yassini. We are working for Afghan Service, which are covering Afghanistan and some part of Pakistan area, tribal areas.
Is this going to affect the Afghan service?
Yeah, they have announced, but it is not generally not affecting most of us. They have just announced 10% cut, but we don't know what they will be cutting, staff or other activities. The impact of World Service is not felt here in Britain, but when you go to different countries, you will know that how important this is, and people are tuning to it every day, every night. So when you are using World Service, different languages, it is affecting, it is shocking.
We announced in October that from 2014, responsibility for the BBC World Service will be transferred to the BBC itself and funded from the licence fee, a move that has been welcomed by the World Service and the BBC Trust as providing new opportunities for the BBC World Service to develop in the future.
Are you still optimistic about the future of the World Service?
No, I'm not optimistic about the future of the World Service at all. I don't think. I think once the government said that they didn't want it from 2014, I think the writing was on the wall. I mean, it's a branch of government. I don't think the BBC should be funding it. I think it's a branch of government to promote Britain abroad. I don't think that's something the licence fee should be paying for. That's my opinion, very personal opinion. That's not the BBC's opinion, that's my opinion only.
My name's Dennis McShane. I'm a member of Parliament. I used to work in that place a long time ago, and I just raised this in the House of Commons with, frankly, a very disappointing, not to say dishonest answer from William Hague, because this is wholly a political and government decision. The World Service takes 0.5% of the government's entire overseas spend.
The BBC World Service has a viable and promising future, but it is not immune from public spending constraints or from the reassessment of its priorities. And services that have become less well used because of the rise of local broadcasters or falling shortwave audiences sometimes have to close.
Caribbean journalists and media houses are trying, but there are restrictions put on them by the governments. The BBC World Service is a different kettle of fish. It's an international broadcaster that can stand on its own and make analysis. And that is what will be missed.
As it is clear that it introduced Britain culturally to the outward world. And people Britain is known by our region, particularly by BBC. If it is cutting things there, so definitely in long term it will be having a long term effect.